All right. I think a couple of weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago, last time when we actually gathered, we cover up to Numbers chapter 10. So we're going to turn into Numbers chapter 11. And the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes. And when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed some outlying parts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So the name of that place was called Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burned among them. There are few cases in the Bible that God actually brought the fire down from sky. Do you know how many times that it actually appeared in the Bible that he brought the fire down from the sky? Just use your Bible knowledge to just think about how many times you know in the Bible that God actually brought the fire down from the sky. Okay. That's one time, yes. Okay. All right. What else? Okay. Anyone else? Is that the only time that you know in the Bible that the fire came down from the sky? When you actually look at the Leviticus chapter 10, the Aaron's sons, two of the Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, was actually used a different fire than what God brought it down, and then actually God burned them with the fire, right? There's another time. What other time? Not necessarily. That was a guiding. Yeah, that one. That one's a little different. Yeah. And then we just saw the incidents in Numbers, which God also brought down the fire here. And then we also have the story of when people came to bring the Elijah. He brought the fire down from heaven and consumed them. I don't know if you know the story at all. So let's take a look at. When you look at the First Kings, Elijah brought the fire down from heaven to consume the altar. Right? And then another time. Yeah? I believe we went over chapter 10. Yeah, the recording goes up to chapter 10. Exactly. So when you read 2 Kings chapter 1, there's a story of Elijah again. Read from verse 5. The messenger returned to the king, and he said to them, "Why have you returned?" And they said to him, "They came a man to meet us, and said to us, 'Go back to the king who sent you, and say to them, Thus says the Lord, it is because there is no God in Israel that you are sending to inquire about Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron. Therefore you shall not come down from the bed to which you have gone up, but you shall surely die.' He said to them, 'What kind of a man was he who came to meet you and told you these things?' They answered him, 'He wore a garment of hair with the belt of leather about his waist.' And he said, 'It is Elijah the Tishbite.' Then the king sent to him a captain of 50 men with his 50. He went up to Elijah, who was sitting on the top of the hill, and said to him, 'O man of God, the king says, come down.' But Elijah answered the captain of 50, 'If I am a man of God, let fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50. Then fire came down from heaven and consumed him and his 50. Again, the king sent to him another captain of 50 men and his 50. And he answered and said to him, 'O man of God, this is the king's order. Come down quickly.' But Elijah answered him, 'If I am a man of God, let the fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50. Then the fire of God came down from heaven and consumed him and his 50. Again, the king sent the captain of a third 50, and with his 50. And the third captain of a 50 went up and came and fell down on his knees before Elijah and entreated him, 'O man of God, please let my life and the life of these 50 servants of yours, because in your sight, behold, the fire come down from heaven and consumed the 2 former captain of 50 men with their 50s. But now let my life be precious in your sight.' Then the angel of the Lord said to Elijah, 'Go down with them. Do not be afraid of them.' So he rose and went down with them to the king." So, as you can see here, Elijah not only actually brought the fire down from heaven to burn the altar, but later on, after the king Ahab died, his son was also not trusting in the Lord, and he was doing all sorts of things and serving other God. And, when Elijah warned him, then you're never going to come back down from your bed. And he sent 50 people with the men of the captain. And he sent them twice. And then Elijah said, "If I'm a man of God, the fire will come down and it'll consume you." And then he did that twice to burn them all. So there are times in the Bible that God actually brought the fire down and consumed the people. And it's kind of scary. God brought the fire down from heaven and actually consumed the people. Now, what is it really telling us then? God is actually, grumpy old man, and they just want to just burn people up because if they don't listen. What does it really tell you? Well, God cares about Elijah, yeah, true. So eventually what it shows is that at the end, for those of the people who trust in the Lord versus the people who does not trust in the Lord, and at the end, how he judges the people. At the end, he brings the fire from heaven that consumes the people who does not trust in the Lord, and saves the people and protects the people who's with the Lord. Same goes with the story of Exodus. There was a land of Egypt, and also the people, the Israel people who live in the land of Egypt as well. When God brought down a plague down on the Egypt, God only poured the judgment on the Egyptians who does not trust in the Lord, versus the people, the Israel, who also live in the land of Egypt also. They've been protected. When there was a darkness came upon the land, the light was in the area where Israelite was living. So God actually separates the people who are going to be judged and who are not going to be judged. So when you look at this, and the people complained. So people complained. So it is very understandable from our perspective. If living in the wilderness for a long time, and obviously they will complain. So they did the complain, but as they were complaining, in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortune. So whenever they were complaining, God was listening to them. God was listening to their complaints about their misfortune. And imagine, you're trying to help someone, and you are trying to provide the things that they need, the food. You're trying to just to help one person, just with your own goodwill that you're helping people, and the person is keep complaining that you're not supplying enough. Then how would you feel? That you are helping him. You're not asking anything from that person, but you just want to help it because you have a good heart that you want to help this person, and the person is just to keep complaining that you're not giving enough. Would you like to have that person then who doesn't really appreciate for your goodwill? So you don't feel like to help that person because you're helping them as much as you can on your end, but the person is not really appreciating for what you have done to them. And then you're not willing to help that person because if you don't want my help, hey, I don't need you. Right? I'm just doing it for your favor, not for me. Even we feel that way. And God is providing for the things that they need, but they're kept complaining about what they don't have. They're not really thank the Lord for what they have, but they complained about what they don't have. Let's face it here. It's easier for us to complain for the things that we don't have. I do it too. We all do, right? We got a lot of stuff when you think about it. When you think about it, when we wake up in the morning, I'm thankful that I have life. I'm thankful that I have a place where I can live. I'm thankful that I actually have a job. I'm thankful that I have a family. Thankful that I'm actually, healthy. There are things that I can thankful. But there are things that we don't have. I wish I have a better job. I wish I have a better apartment. I wish I have a better house. I wish I have a better things. Right? There are a lot of things that we don't have that we are envious about other people. It's like, I wish I have a nice car. I wish I have a boat. I wish I have this. I wish I have that. Interestingly, we're much quick to complain about things that we don't have. rather than thankful for the things that we have. Israelites are no different. They complained about things that they don't have. But we have to learn to appreciate for the things that we have first. When you compared myself against the people who doesn't have or less than what I have, right? We always compare ourselves to the people who have more than me. We never compare ourselves to the people who have less than me and then appreciate for the things that I have, right? That's our greed. That's our, desire. It all has come from our heart. It's definitely not coming from the Lord. Right? So we have to learn to thank the Lord for the things we have. Rather than, even we talk about in a half glass. Is it half full or half empty? Right? It's the same thing. It's just a perspective, how you look at things. Some people looks at it as a half full, the other person looks at the half empty. So how are we seeing our life? Are we actually seeing the life that God provides, the things that I need, and enough for the things I can manage, rather than giving more to a person who cannot manage? For example, if there's a kid who could only manage to buy the candy with $1 bill, giving $100,000 to this kid doesn't do any good. What this kid can handle is just the $1 that he can buy the candy. So $100,000 doesn't really much. He cannot manage $100,000. What to do with this? $1 is enough for that kid so that he can manage. So will God give us the things that I cannot manage and just keep giving and giving and giving because I love you, so I'm going to keep give you? Imagine. Would you give a gun to a kid who cannot manage? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. You would not give the gun to a person who cannot manage that. The gun should only be handled by the person who can manage the gun. Same thing. God only gives us the things that I can manage, at my situations. Remember I mentioned about the prayers of Jabez prayer. What you know about the Jabez's prayer, right? Oh, Jabez, right? Right. So, what is that prayer about? Do you know what that prayer is about? Let's actually turn to First Chronicle. First Chronicle, chapter 4. It's starting from verse 9 and on. You turn it. So Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bore him in pain. Jabez called upon the God of Israel, saying, oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my border, and that your hand might be with me, and that you would keep me from harm, so that it might not bring me pain. And God granted what he asked. What do you think of this prayer? You heard about this prayer, right? What is your opinions about this prayer? Without thinking too much, trying to think about why I'm asking this question, but I want you to just tell me, up until I'm asking these questions, how did you think about this prayer? Okay. Well, how about other people? I want you to think about it from this perspective. God actually gave the land to Israelites after they enter into the promised land. There are 12 tribes, right? God divided the land and assigned and allocated. Joshua allocated a certain parts of the land and give it to the tribes, right? I want you to think about it from this perspective. What if, right? Actually, let's take a look at the map for a second so that we actually get a feel for it. So each tribe gets a certain portions of the land. So when you look at, there's two tribes actually have a lot more land than any other tribes. So you can see this in Manasseh on the east side and the west side. So when you compare this size of the land here compared to like Issachar or Benjamin, like this is so tiny. Zebulun is like so tiny here compared to Manasseh. And look at Judah. The land of Judah is like this big, right? And then Simeon is part of the Judah. I mean, what is this? Why am I in the middle of this land? Why can't you just give me the lower portions of this land, right? Why are you giving the Judah to more land surrounding my area, right? I mean, assume. Okay, I want you to put yourself in their shoes, all right? You are the leader of, the tribe of Zebulun. And Joshua is allocating a land to you. It said, hey, you get this size of the land over here. Oh, by the way, Ricky, I want you to get this big of a land, right? While you get this. And what would you say? Tell me. I mean, do you think... I mean, I don't know if you ever pay attention to this map at all. You know this you've probably seen this map like many times in the past. All right? But when you look at it very carefully here, I don't see there's any fairness at all. Right? It said, hold on, Lord. I think there's some mistake here. Right? It's like, you better check your plan again. It doesn't seem right to me. You mean that's my land, right? This my land. This is my land. You might have actually mixed up the name. Can you check again, please? Right? I mean, I don't see any fairness at all here, just by looking at the size of the land. Right? Well, obviously, we're not actually analyzing to see, okay, Manasseh got this big of a land, but I don't know how good their land is compared to this. This land may be like most like precious land compared to like this is the like there's nothing there. You have nothing there, right? Without assessing more details of the land, just by looking at the size of the land, right? And when Joshua is allocating this particular parts of the land to the tribes, and then from your perspective, like, what is this? Like, I don't understand. Why this tribe gets a bigger land than mine? Right? Why are they getting this part of the land compared to mine? And assumed, okay? Now, I'm just assuming here. So Zebulun and Issachar get this small portion of the land here, okay? Now, and it said, okay, so God gave us this land, so we cannot complain to God. So, all right, I get it. All right, so get this. All right, the people of Zebulun, people of Issachar, let's pray. Let's pray to the Lord to expand our territory. Lord, grant us more land. Okay? What do you think God would have done? And then he will extend his land here, like bigger, or maybe just take some other land here and then give another portions here. What do you think? I know I'm asking questions that you don't normally think about it, but I want you to think about it. Obviously, God granted Jabez's prayer and extended the territory as he asked for it. So the leader of the tribe and gather everyone and said, let's pray. Okay, we acknowledge that God gave us this small portion of the land, but, let's pray. God may grant us more territory, so let's just pray to extend our territory. Would God granted that prayer and extended the territory and take, Naphtali, Asher's, and Manasseh's lands, and hey, you know what? Let me give you a little more land here. I give you just extend this territory. Give you a little more land here. The point that I'm trying to make here is this: when we look at the Bible, right? We only look at just certain portions of the Bible and apply that principle across the board in the Bible. But before you do that, you have to think about how many instances in the Bible that actually happened. Is this really a principle that we can apply across the board in the Bible? Does that really fits into the model that God actually shown through the Bible? As far as I can tell, it does not. Obviously, we don't have answers, but you know what? First of all, none of the tribes ever prayed to extend their territory. There's only one tribe that I know of that actually gone out of their way to take up more territory. There was only one. That was Dan. Right? So let's take a look at Judges. Judges chapter 18. In those days there were no kings in Israel, and in those days the tribe of the people of Dan was seeking for itself an inheritance to dwell in, For until then no inheritance among the tribe of Israel had fallen to them. So the people of Dan sent 5 able men from the whole number of their tribes, from Zorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land and to explore it. And they said to them, Go and explore the land. And they came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, and lodged there. When they were by the house of Micah, they were recognized the voice of the young Levites, and they turned aside and said to them, Who brought you there? What are you doing in this place? What is your business here? And he said to them, This is how Micah dealt with me. He has hired, and I have become his priest. And they said to him, Inquire of God, please, that we may know whether the journey on which we are setting out will succeed. And the priest said to them, Go in peace, the journey on which you go in under the eyes of the Lord. Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people who were there, how they lived in security, after the manner of the Sodominian, and quiet and unsuspecting, lacking nothing is in the earth, and possessing wealth, and how they were far from the Sidonians, and had no dealings with anyone. And when they came to their brothers at Zorah and Eshtaol, their brother said to them, What do you report? They said, Arise, and let us go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. And will you do nothing? Do not be slow to go to enter in and possess the land. As soon as you go, we will come to an unsuspecting people. The land is spacious, for God has given it to your hand, a place where there is no lack of anything that is in the earth. So 600 men of the tribe of Dan, armed with weapons of war, set out from Zorah and Eshtaol, and went up to the encamped at Kiriath and Jearim in Judah. On this account that place is called Mahane Dan. To this day, behold, it is west of Kiriath and Jearim. And they passed on from there to the hill country of Ephraim, and came to the house of Micah. Then 5 men who had gone to scout out the country of Laish said to their brothers, Do you know that these houses there are ephod and household gods and carved image and metal image? Now therefore consider what you will do. And they turned aside there and came to the house of the young Levites at the home of Micah, and asked him about his welfare. Now the 600 men of the Danite, armed with their weapons of war, and stood by the entrance of the gate. And 5 men who had gone to scout out the land went up and entered, and took the carved image and ephod and a household god and metal image, while the priest stood by the entrance of the gate with the 600 men armed with weapons of war. And when these went into Micah's house and took the carved image and ephod and household god and the metal image, the priest said to them, What are you doing? And they said to him, Keep quiet, put your hands on your mouth, and come with us, and be to us a father and a priest. It is better for you to be a priest to the house of one man, or to be a priest of a tribe and clan of Israel. And the priest's heart was glad. He took the ephod and the household god and the carved image, and went along with the people. So, scroll down. We're going to read from verse 27. But the people of Dan took what Micah had made, and the priest who belonged to him, and they came to Laish, and the people quiet and unsuspecting, and struck them with the edge of the sword, and burned the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Sidon, and they had no dealing with anyone. It was in the valley that belongs to Bet Rehob. Then they rebuilt the city and lived in it. And they named the city Dan after the name of Dan, their ancestor, who was born to Israel, but the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the people of Dan set up and carved the image for themselves, and Jonathan the son of Gershom, son of Moses, and the son were priests to the tribe of Danite until the day of the captive of the land. So they set up Micah's carved image that he made as long as the house of God was at Shiloh. So when you look at this, they did not actually take the land that Joshua gave them. They took the land that they were not belong. So when you look at the map over here, you see this? You see this Dan over here? This was actually not given to Dan. Dan is right here. Right? You see the right next to Ephraim and Benjamin, and right above the Philistine. So they went all the way up here, take down the land over here. You see that? And then it gives some explanation here. So let's take a look at, now this time, let's go to Joshua. Joshua chapter 19. We're going to read from verse 40. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of the people of Dan according to their clans, and the territory of its inheritance included Zorah, Eshtaol, Shemesh, Shal, Labin, Abijalon, Ithalah, Elon, and Timnah, Akrons, and Etekeh, and Gibbethon, Baalath, Jehud, Ben-Brek, and Gath Rimnon, and Me-Jarkon, and Rakkon with the territory over against Jobah. When the territory of the people of Dan was lost to them, the people of Dan went up and fought against the Leshem, and after capturing it and striking it with the sword, they took possessions of it and settled in it, calling Leshem Dan after the name of Dan their ancestor. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Dan according to their clan. These cities were their villages. As you can see here, their land was given right here in this area. But because they're afraid of Philistia and taking over this land, they just went up all the way up here, away from Philistines, right? Because this is very close to Philistine area. It's like, why am I getting the land close to Philistine here? Like, I want to be away from this people. Like, these people are so strong. I don't want to be around here. I just want to go all the way up here. So I just want to take possession here. So that took the land over here, and they called the name Dan here. This is why the city Dan started. All right? Now, as you can see here, Dan was the only tribe that took the possessions that God did not even give it to them. We need to expand, but not here because the Philistine is so strong that we cannot extend our territory. So we're going to develop our own, so we're going to extend our territory. So, as you can see here, now if that prayer, if we apply the same principle in other places, what would God do? Would God extend a territory? I would say no. I would say no. God give them the land and allocated the land so they can manage. Remember I mentioned about the baby, could only manage $1 they can buy the candy and what it's good for, not $100,000. God only gives the things to us that we can manage. But we always crave for more. I want more. Give me more. I think I can handle more, so give me more. God will not give it to us until we can manage. So, yeah, go ahead. If we truly believe in the Lord, that God is the one who owns everything, have everything, then we have to crave more for Him. Not to fulfill my own desire. That's not what I mean. Let's come back. Chapter 11 again. So they complained. God listened to their complaints, and He brought the fires down and consumed them. And after that incident, right after that, verse 4, now the rebel that was among them had a strong craving. Once again, here it comes. And the people of Israel also wept again and said, "Oh, what we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt and cost nothing, and cucumbers and melons and leeks, the onions and the garlic. But now our strength is dried up, and there is nothing at all but this manna to look at." Now the manna was like coriander seed, and it appears like that of the bdellium. The people went out and gathered it and ground it in handmill, or beat it in the mortar and boiled in a pot, made a cake of it. And the taste of it was like the taste of a cake baked with oil. When the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell with it. Moses heard the people weeping throughout their clans, everyone at the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord blazed hostily, and Moses was displeased. Moses said to the Lord, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant, and why have I not found a favor in your sight, that you lay the burden of all this people on me? Did I conceive all this people? Did I give them birth? That you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, as a nurse carried a nursing child to the land that you swore to give their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give all these people? For they weep before me and say, give us meat that we may eat. I am not able to carry all this people alone, and the burden is too heavy for me. If you will treat me like this, kill me at once, if I find favor in your sight, that I may not see my wretchedness." I want you to listen to this very carefully. I don't know whether you really pay attention, about the story or not. But first of all, let's start with this, coming back to verse 4. Now the rebel that was among them had a strong craving. And who are these people? Huh? Who? Yeah. Robel. Sorry. Who are these people? Yeah? How's other Bible says? How's the other Bible say about this? What does the Bible say? This is not Israelites. This is not Israelites at all. And who are these people? These are the people who came out of Egypt along with the Israelites. They're not Israelites. They saw the miracle of God in Egypt. They saw the 10 plagues. And then, wow, this God is very, very strong God. We should go with them. And they left Egypt with Israelites, but they're not Israelites. They left with Israelites. Correct. Correct. So these are not of Israelites, and they're the one who started to complain. But now I want you to think about this for a moment. Do you think these people, among all the Israelites who are living in the wilderness right now, right? What was the percentage of these people? A larger populations or smaller populations? When you compare the Israelite versus this non-Israelite people, do you think which group of people are larger? Of course the Israelite is much larger. Of course. There are small portions of people who just came along with them. Right? So it's a small number of people. And they are the one who started to complain. When they started to complain, what happened? It spread like a germ. All the Israelites start to complain. Right? So think about it. Large portion of people of Israel who trust in the Lord, follow the Lord, was not influencing who came with the Israelite, which is non-Israelites. Opposite and contrary, the small group of people who came along with the Israelite, they're the one who started to complain, and then they influenced the larger population of these Israelites. I want you to know this. This happens same in the church. The people who does not trust in the Lord, but they know and they have a knowledge of this world. They know how things are working in this world, and they bring that logic, they bring that principle, they bring that all these things from outside and bringing to the church, and they say, like, this is how it should be done. This is how organization should be run. This is how we should do education. That's not how we do it. So they bring all kinds of things from outside and bring into the church, then applied in the church. And the people of church are influenced by these people, and they follow their way. rather than following what God said. And they started to complain. Of course, they had to complain in their heart. They just wasn't saying much. But when they started to complain, they started to say more and more and spread like viruses. Then everyone started to complain. But listen to this. Their complaint was this, on verse 4 again. Their complaint was, and the people of Israel also wept again and said, "Oh, that we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt that cost nothing, the cucumber, the melons, the leeks, and onions, and the garlics." Okay, first of all, they said they ate the fish with no cost. Right? All right. Did it cost anything for them to eat manna? Okay? So you're still getting for free. Right? Before you were getting free, now you're getting another different food for free. You're getting for free. You didn't do anything. You didn't harvest anything. Well, you got it for free. And listen to this. They remember what they were eating. They were eating fish. They were eating onion, garlic, right? Cucumbers, right? Melons, right? Were they eating meat? Were they eating meat? Where does it say? They were eating fish, but they weren't eating meat. But what they're asking for is meat. I remember I was eating fish, I was eating melon, I was eating, garlic and onions. But you know what? I want meat. Right? Going back to what I said before, they're craving for more. They're craving for more. I want more and better. Well, that's not what I was eating, but I feel like to eat some meat. Right? And then look at verse 6. But now our strength is dried up, and there is nothing at all but this manna to look at. So manna is not good enough for me. And I could certainly understand. Imagine that I'm eating the same food for the last 4 years. I will get sick of it. Right? Wouldn't you get sick of it? Truthfully. Imagine you're not eating anything but just one food. Right? Morning, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a year. Wouldn't you get sick of it? I'll get sick of it. So they try something different with this. They were trying to just to put in the people went out and gathered and ground it in the hand mills or beat it in the mortar and boiled it in a pot and made cakes of it. So they tried a variety of different foods. So they tried creative, it's just eating the manna as it is. They were trying to make a cake. They were trying to cook it. They were trying to all kinds of different ways to make some variation from this. Right? I get sick of this manna. I have to try something different. So they try all this, and they just ran out of trick. And there's no more way you can cook this manna. There's just so much you can do with this manna. I'm getting sick of it. Give me some more. I completely understand. I mean, I'll tell you, I'll be honest. If I were there and one of those people, I'll be the one of these people complain. Right? So.
You're on mute.
Oh, mute? I don't know what happened. Why did it change? Yeah, hang on one second. I'm trying to get this phone. It's got disconnected somehow. When they started to complain, listen to this. Verse 10, Moses heard the people weeping throughout their clans, and everyone at the door of his tent, and the anger of the Lord blazed hotly, and Moses was displeased. And listen to what Moses is saying. Moses said to the Lord, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant? And why have I not found favor in your sight, that you lay the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth? That you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, and as a nurse carried a nursing child to the land that you swore to give their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give to all these people?" For they weep before me and say, "Give us meat that we may eat. I am not able to carry all these people alone. The burden is too heavy for me. If you will treat me like this, kill me at once. If I find favor in your sight, that I may not see my wretchedness." Now, I want you to put yourself in Moses' shoes for now. Okay? There's 2 million of people crying out loud and shouting at Moses and said, "Give us a meat." Right? 2 million of people gather and they're shouting at Moses, "Give us a meat." It's like a thunderstorm. Right? They're all weeping at their front door. Everybody's crying out, asking for meat. And Moses got so fed up with these people and said, "Listen." And he just went up to God and said, "Listen, God, I mean, what is this? Did I actually, are they my child? Why am I carrying these people? What did I do wrong with you? Where am I going to find the meat?" Right? How am I going to supposed to feed these people? No way in hell that I'll be able to feed these people. If you're going to just put this much of a burden on me, just kill me. Kill me at once. Now, kill me. I'm done here. And he just so frustrated, and he was so angry with people and God at the same time. And it's I'm fed up with what I'm doing here. I don't know, why am I doing this? I didn't do anything to bear this burden. It's unfair to me, Lord. Now, I want you to just now switch from the God's perspective. It's not Moses anymore. Let's switch ourselves and look at it from God's perspective. Okay? I want you to tell me, how would God feel about the situation? I want you to put yourself in God's shoes and now tell me, how would God feel about this whole situation? All right. This is critically important for you to actually understand God's position, where He is with this position. This is the point of understanding this chapter 11. Listen, look at it from God's perspective. God sees them. They had never been faithful to God, even from the get-go. They always been rebellious. They always untrusted the Lord. Right? They're always like this. God knew it. God suffered it from these people many times already.
But what really hurt God was this. Moses was saying, where am I going to find this food for these people? I want you to think about it from God's perspective. I understand these people, the foreigners. I understand this rebellious people. But you, Moses, at least you should be different. I use you to show you all this miracle with your hand, with your staff. I have shown you so many miracles and who I am. Haven't I showed you and proved to you who I am? That I told you with all this plague, with all this miracle that I've actually performed before your eyes. Didn't I prove it to you? I am the Lord and I'm the Creator. And you are asking me that where are you going to find the food for these people? I separated the Red Sea with your hand. And you're asking me where I'm going to find this food before me? At least you have to be different. At least you should trust in me. And you know who I am. How could you? How could you do this to me? Not to mention about this foreigner. Not to mention about all this like Israelites. But at least Moses should be different. You can't say this to me. After I've shown you all this, at least you should trust me that I'm the Lord. Lord's heart was broken, completely broken by what Moses said. He was hurted. He was completely lost the word. He didn't know what to say. You have to feel how God feels. That's the key of this. If you don't understand how God feels, we're missing everything here. How much he was hurted by what he said. Have you ever experienced that someone that you trusted dearly, that you trusted this person, although everyone says something else, I trusted you, that you trust me, what I told you. And even that trusted person said, I don't trust you. When you hear that word, how would you feel? I thought you trust me. I mean, you have to understand God's heart, how much he was hurting. And you see, nobody cares how he feels. Nobody cares. And you will get to see. And when he heard this, so hurted. You know, sometimes you hear from people that like say something like that spears through your heart. That one word and one statement that they make that like just pass through your heart. Have you ever feel that? It's just so painful to hear someone that I trust to say something to me. When you get cut by knife or something, you can heal, right? It's you see the wounds here, like you can do something to heal it. But you know what? The wound that you have in your heart, it's not recoverable easily. First of all, you can't see, and no one can see, and you don't know how to heal it. The damage that you have in your heart is like so deep inside. It's just like You have that memories. It's like years and years and years. You never forget that. So painful. That was exactly what Moses did to God. He just literally tear God's heart apart. At least Moses. At least you should say this. And then listen to this. And after God heard this, and see what he's saying. Verse 16. Then the Lord said to Moses, gather for me 70 men of the elder of Israel, whom you know to be the elder of the people, and officers over them, and bring them to the tent of meeting, and let them take their stand there with you. And I will come down and talk with you there. I will take some of the Spirit that is on you and put it on them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you may not bear it yourself alone. What God is saying is, okay, I understand your frustration. I get it now, okay? So I want you to bring 70 people. I'm going to put the Spirit that I put on you and then put it on those 70 people so they can help you now. So you don't burden all this yourself. I will share the burden with the 70 other people among you. Okay? So I care for you. And then he says, verse 18, and say to the people, consecrate yourself for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat. For you have wept in the hearing of the Lord, saying, who will give us a meat to eat? For it was better for us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you meat, and you shall eat. You shall not eat just 1 day, or 2 days, or 5 days, or 10 days, or 20 days, but for the whole month, until it comes out at your nostrils and become loathsome to you, because you have rejected the Lord who is among you, and have wept before him, saying, why did we come out of Egypt? And you have to hear the God's plea. You have to listen to what God is saying. After I have done all this, and you are saying this to me, this, every single time God had performed, when God actually brought the plague down on Egypt, what did God say to Moses? I want you to go back. Let's go to Exodus chapter 6. We're going to read from verse 2. God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob as God Almighty. But by my name, the Lord, I did not make myself known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land in which they lived as sojourners. Moreover, I have heard the groaner of the people of Israel, whom the Egyptians hold as slaves. As I have remembered my covenant, say, therefore, to the people of Israel, I am the Lord. I will bring you out from under the burden of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from slavery to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm, and with great acts of judgment. I will take you to be my people. I will be your God, and you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who has brought you out from under the burden of Egyptians. I will bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you for possessions. I am the Lord. What he kept saying is, I am the Lord. You will know that I am the Lord. When I bring my judgment to these people, you will know that I am the Lord. Didn't he say that? He said that every single time he brought the plague in the land of Egypt, that I will know, that you will know that I am the Lord. I will display to the Egyptians, I will display to the Pharaohs, I will display to the Israelites, I will display to the people who doesn't even know who I am. After I've done all this, they will know who I am. I am the Lord. I'm the only God. I am the Creator. But now Moses is saying, where am I going to find this food? After you have seen what I have done? He is so mad, and he's so hurted. Just read the tones of what he's saying. In verse 21 it says, but Moses said. Listen, it said, but the people among whom I am numbered 600,000 on food, and you have said, I will give them meat that they may eat. They may eat a whole month? Are you kidding me? Shall flock and herd be slaughtered for them, and be enough for them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, and be enough for them? Listen. You have to feel how God feels at this point. God was just completely lost the word. He just, you know, there are times when you're speaking with someone, when you're having a conversation with someone, right? When you heard something like it's just like so surprise you that sometimes you just don't know what to say. You completely lost the word and you don't know how to respond. Have you ever experienced that moment? When you're having a conversation with someone, like there's someone said to you that you just like completely lost the word and you just don't know what to say. You just completely lost the word and you don't know how to respond to that. God was in that moment. After, not only he said, initially what Moses said, where am I going to find the food? And now he's being very specific. Are you saying, do you know how many people are here? Do you see these people? 600,000 people on food are here. Not to include all the women and older peoples and the young people or the sick people, excluding them. Including them, about 2 million people are sitting here. I don't know if you can see these people, but I tell you, 600,000 men on foot are here. And you're saying you're going to feed them whole month? Whole month, you said, right? Whole month. Not one day, not a week, not 2 weeks. Whole month? Let me explain to you, Lord. And maybe you don't understand what I'm saying to you, but let me explain to you. If we kill all the flocks, the herds that we have, even if you slaughter them, that's not enough. Or, okay, all right, that's fine. So you're going to show us the miracles. You're going to do something. You're going to catch all the fish in the seas and bring them all here. That's not going to be enough for them. You have to understand, God completely lost the word at this moment. He doesn't know what to say to Moses anymore. So God said one word. Verse 23. And the Lord said to Moses, is the Lord's hand shortened? One word. That's all he said. Is the Lord's hand shortened? Now you shall see whether my word will come true for you or not. You shall see who I am. You shall see. God was so hurted. I was speechless. Moses, not you. At least you should be different. At least you should trust in me. At least you should know who I am. But even you don't trust me. Even you don't know who I am. This is the critical part of this chapter 11. He was completely shocked that nobody, if Moses doesn't trust him, that means no one out of 2 million people in this place, no one trusted him. No one knows who he is. They're still eating manna every morning. There's still the cloud of the pillar of a cloud, a pillar of a fire is still leading them. They were drinking water. God was protecting them every day. Nobody trusts. Nobody have a faith that he has ability to do something like this. After they've seen the things that I've seen, God was so hurted. He's crying. Verse 24. So Moses went out and told the people the word of the Lord, and he gathered 70 men of the elder of the people and placed them around the tent. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took some of the Spirit was on him, put it on the 70 elder. As soon as the Spirit rested on them, they prophesied, but they did not continue doing it. Now 2 men remained in the camp, one named Eldad, and other named Medad, and the Spirit rested on them. They were among those registered, but they had not gone out to the tent, so they prophesied in the camp. And a young man ran and told Moses, Eldad and Medad, and prophesying in the camp. And Joshua, the son of Nun, assistant of Moses from his youth, said, My Lord, Moses stopped them. But Moses said to them, Are you jealous for my sake? Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, that the Lord would put his Spirit on them. And Moses and the elder of Israel returned to the camp. Look at this. First of all, Moses doesn't say anything about his complaint. He just complained to the Lord, and God said, "Is the Lord is the Lord hands are shortened?" He didn't say anything. Only thing he did was, right after that, he just went out and gathered all the 70 people. You know what? I'm sick and tired of it now. Like, I don't know. You know, I'm going to gather all the 70 people. You said you're going to just put the Spirit on them. They're going to help me. They're going to just share the burden on me. That's all I care about. I don't care what you feel, but I'm going to do what I need to do to just share this burden, because I can't bear this anymore. I'm done with it. I don't care what you do. Like, I'm done. All he cared is about, I can't I can't take all this burden anymore. Do what it takes for you to just share this among the 70 people, as you said. That's all I care about. So he was completely blinded. He was distrusting the Lord. He was completely just abandoned God at this point. And he doesn't care how God feels. He doesn't. And then, look at this. Verse 31. Then the wind from the Lord sprang up, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp about the day's journey on this side, and day's journey on the other side, around the camp, and about 2 cubits above the ground. And the people rose all the day and all night, and all the next day, and gathered the quail. Those two who gather least gather 10 homers, and they spread from out for themselves all around the camp, while the meat was yet between their teeth. Before it was consumed, the anger of the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord struck down the people with very great plague. Therefore the name of that place was called Kibroth and Hatava, because there they buried the people who had the craving. For from the Kibroth Hatava, the people journeyed to Hazeroth, and the name the Hazeroth. Now, I want you to take a look at this very carefully. Nobody cares about how God feels. Nobody, right? And then what they did was God brought the quail from the sea. How many people are there in the wilderness right now? 2 million. Do you know how big the size of the quail is? Not this big? The quail is not this big. Very small. Yeah, it's like a size of a little bigger than a sparrow. Okay, so I want you to think about it. Is one quail enough for a person for a month? For a month. How many do you think you have to eat the quail? How many quails do you think you have to eat to be filled with meat for a month? 180 quail. Okay? Listen to this. Okay. Let's assume that if you actually eat one quail a meal, so you at least have a 3 per day. Okay? And times a 30, or 28 days, whatever it may be. Okay? 31. What are you talking about? 3 a day for 30 days. Oh, 31 days. Okay, so how many quails do you think you need to have? Imagine. I want you to look at the Bible, see what happened. I want you to take a look at verse 31 again. The wind from the Lord sprang up, and it brought quail from the sea. Let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on this side, and day's journey on the other side. Do you know what that means? He brought this quail, right? It brought this quail from the sea, and how much they actually brought was like day journeys of that much of like space, right? That it came. And then look at this. And about 2 cubits above the ground. This is 1 cubit from here to here is 1 cubit. 2 cubits, okay? So double it. So this is 2 cubits from the ground. Okay? 2 cubits from the ground. All right? So imagine how many quails was there for 2 millions of people. All right? And listen to this, verse 32. And the people rose all that day, all night, all the next day, and gathered the quail. How many days you actually there to catch this quail? A couple hours? Do you think they caught 3 quails? Can you imagine how many quails would have actually came to this place in the wilderness and it covered the sky? You can't see the sky. It's completely darkened. Do you understand how much quail it came? People don't really pay attention when they read this one, but when you look at it very carefully, this is a ridiculous amount of quail that it came in, and what their eyes were completely flipped. They were so busy running around and catch this quail. Okay? Do you understand? Yeah, exactly. And then, how much they gather was this. Those who gather least gather 10 homers. Do you know what 1 homer is? This is the measurement. Okay? Yeah. 220 liters. Okay? Okay. Now, think about it. Does it 1 homer is the back load of, it's a 1 bag that the donkey can carry. 1 homer. Okay? All right, so let me show you this. All right, so something like this. So you could imagine how much they actually gather, right? So let me actually share this. What happened here? Yeah, you most of you probably never, really looked at this Bible carefully, that how much the quail they have collected, right? So they were so busy for days to collect this quail. They were craving for food, and they craved for the meat. So every man, 2 million of people in wilderness, like their eyes got so red to catch how much of quail that they can gather. They were like crazy, day and night, busy catching this quail. Hey, I got it. I want you to give me a hand. Hey, bro. Just grabbing like this. Right? Now, I want you to think about it. Does anybody care about how God feels at this moment? Nobody. Nobody cares about how God feels. No one cares. What they care is the quail in front of them. Is all they care about. Nobody cares how he was hurted, how he feels. Nobody cares. They were so consumed by their food. Nobody really cares about God. Who cares about God? The food that I need is in front of me. That's all I care about. God wasn't left alone. He's watching people so busy running around catching this quail. Nobody in this crowd cares about God, including Moses. And you could imagine how much he was hurting. If you don't feel how God feels, you're not reading this chapter 11. That's who we are. Only thing we care about what I need. When you actually hear the prayer request from most of the people, what do they request for? Do they really care for how they serve the Lord, or how much they want to be with the Lord? Is that the most of the prayer request that you receive? Or they pray for what they need, for food and jobs and health and the things that they need? They always care about themselves. They care about what they need, what they want, right? They don't care about how God feels about us. No different today. We actually say, oh yeah, these people so nasty people. You know what? We are that nasty people. Nobody cares about how God feels. If you read this chapter 11 correctly, you have to cry. If you really feel how he feels. But because we're reading as, third-party person who's reading this kind of like articles or story, we don't feel anything. No feeling. But one day, if you truly understand the Bible, when you truly understand how he feels, then you will cry. And I want you to put yourself in God's shoes, how much he was hurting. Nobody cares about how God feels. So, after they have seen this miracle, did they turn their heart to the Lord? No. Even after they ate this, nobody cared. Nobody turned their heart. Did ever Moses or anyone else, pray to the Lord and said, Lord, I'm sorry that I actually, I what I said was wrong? No. Nobody said anything. God is the only one who's left out. He was completely despised, not trusted, treated like any other god out there. Nobody acknowledged that God is the only Lord and the only Creator. Nobody acknowledges that. That's how we treat our Lord. I want you to think differently as you read this number, chapter 11. How do we treat our Lord? Do we trust our Lord? We say yes, and I say, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. We don't trust the Lord. Do you think the miracle could change our heart? Do you think the miracle, just by seeing and experiencing the miracle, will grow our faith? Think twice. If that's what grows our faith, these are the people should build the faith first. After they've seen all this miracle. Seeing the miracle, experiencing the miracle, does not grow your faith at all. Knowing who He is may build our faith. This is why we have to know who He is by reading the Bible. And as you can see, this is how much you read. We read the Bible but don't know how to read the Bible. We don't pay attention for the things that we read. We don't really feel anything for the Lord. We just read as a story. That's it. If you truly believe in the Lord, I want you to think about how He feels about yourself. How God feels about you. How God feels about me. Do you care? I do. All right. This was a very sad story in the Bible. And I mean, this is the most common story that you know already. This is not something that you didn't know. You know the story. But as you can read this one, you'll be amazed like how much you didn't know. This is why we're gathered here and learning about the Bible. Any question?